I'm out on my lunch break, I'm out in the forest, and I brought a whole bag of books with me. These are my current reads. This video is not going to be some kind of curated list, but I want to let you in more on the chaotic way that I'm reading right now. And these are a bunch of books that I'm currently reading. And when I started to look at them, there is actually a quite well-defined theme to the stack. It's about the founders that build the tech that define the future. These books are about the founders of the tech revolution. Let's go through them one by one. Hi and welcome to the Booklab. I'm Björn, and the first book in this stack is Steve Jobs in Exile. It's by Geoffrey, Cain, and it's about Steve Jobs' wilderness years. The period between starting Apple and his comeback, when he came back and became the legendary entrepreneur and innovator that he's known for. He was actually kicked out of Apple for a while, and during that point he started his other company called Next, and this is the story about that. This is about his story about the struggle, the doubt, and the challenges that actually probably made him into the guy who came back to Apple and just nailed everything, right? I'm like 60 pages in, and it's quite a gripping book. One thing to notice, I read Walter Isaacson's biography about Steve Jobs maybe 10 years ago, and what I've forgotten was what kind of Steve Jobs was such a crybaby. I couldn't imagine working with him. He was such a perfectionist. He was crying all the time, which you can hear in this book as well. Very sensitive, very easily insulted, and just stuck to the smallest details like it was the most important thing in the world. I would not vibe with this guy, but I feel awe about what he accomplished. So I'm enjoying this book so far. The next book is The Curious Mind of Elon Musk by Charles Steele. What book is this, you might ask, because everyone has heard about the book of Elon by Jurgensen, probably because that came out at the same time. But I picked up this one instead, and while most books is about what Musk built, this one is about how he thinks. First principles, his obsession with curiosity, his relentless mission-driven approach. And a fair warning, if you decide to pick this one up, expect your reading list to expand by maybe 10, 20 books, because it goes through all the books that defined Elon, the books that he read when he grew up. So I put a lot of them on my list. It mentions books like Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Foundation series by Asimov, and there's a ton of other books, mostly like sci-fi classics and big thinkers. So this one has really put a dent into my reading list for the upcoming years. I'm on the last page of this, and you can see how much I've highlighted. This is a sign of a good book when you see so much ink being spilled on it. This is actually a runner-up for book of the year right now, but there's 6 months left, so a lot might change. But this is a book worth looking up. It's a hidden gem, I think, because I don't hear many people talking about it. Well, let's see. I'll just take everything up, otherwise this won't work. Okay, next one is, let's do it like this. The Singularity is Near by Ray Kurzweil. This is futurism classic. This guy, Ray Kurzweil, he predicted a lot about what we see right now when it comes to AI. One of his biggest points is that things will happen faster than anyone can expect. And this guy made a lot of bold predictions in this book. Let's see when it came out. It was originally published in 2005, so that was quite a few years before the actual AI revolution took shape. And he was being spot on with his predictions. And sometimes I find it really fascinating to read these older books that try to predict the future, because it's nice to see what did they nail and where did they fail. Unfortunately, this book hasn't really kept my interest. I'm reading it as an audiobook, but I haven't really gotten into it. I'm maybe like 15% in, but I've taken a break from it. There's another version called The Singularity is Nearer that might be better. Let me know in the comments if that's the case, if that's more relevant right now. And the next book is The Infinity Machine. This is a new release. Demis Hassabis, DeepMind and the Quest for Superintelligence. It's by Sebastian Mallaby, and this book is a banger. I'm listening to it on audio and I've been absorbed. This is the only thing I listen to. This is a story of building DeepMind, how Dennis grew up. He's this whiz kid, he's super smart, he is a master of all types of games. He's just like a boy genius basically, and he dedicates his life to building artificial superintelligence. And of course, most of the people know about when they had built the first AI, they beat the chess master, and how they then conquered the game of Go, which was deemed to be impossible to beat the human player in because of the amount of combinations that could be made in that strategic game. And now more recently, how they mastered StarCraft. This book has all the drama of the AI race, and I'm just in love with it, and you will see a review of this one very soon. And the last one on the technology spectrum is code. Code, you say? Didn't code die this year? Well, it did, but this book is relevant still. The Hidden Language of Computer Hardware and Software by Charles Petzold. The reason I love this book is because it allows me as a layman to understand how computers really work, and computers more and more rule the world. It starts from easy things like Morse code, how that is worked, combinations of codes, going into binary. I mean, look at this, it's beautiful. It starts very, very simple, explaining each piece of the puzzle. I'm kind of dreading the last couple of chapters on this one because it gets quite complicated. But you get to know why are numbers like 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, how come those numbers come over and over again when you talk about computers. You get to understand what binary means. This is just like a great way of like starting to understand how computers and hardware work. I love it a lot. I'm going to talk more about this one soon. And now that was like the tech theme part. So I have a few other wildcard books that I'm reading. One is not quite a light read. What could it be? What could be this big and interesting and tied to human nature? Well, it's Ludwig von Mises' Human Action, a treatise on economics. Sounds very dry, right? And yeah, it kind of is. I'm listening to it on audio as well, and I have a little bit of a trouble getting into it, but this is an attempt to understand Austrian economics, super important in a world of Keynesian economics. And if you don't know the difference, then you should actually study it. Maybe pick a less thick book. There's probably lighter versions of this. But this one was recommended to me by Knut Svanholm that I met at a conference. And I've been wanting to just explore these guys some more. These guys have an evolution of the classical economic theory. This book is mostly about how value is subjective and why people do what we do. And the conclusion or the thesis that Mises has is that people take action because they want to escape a sense of unease. That's why we do something. That's why I scratched my leg here, because I had a bit of a branch sticking into it. So scratching and moving myself to the left is to move to a state of less unease. Super fascinating stuff. It's very deep. Last book is one that I got in the mail recently. Build a Life That Doesn't Eat You Alive. This is a book about getting your shit together. The reason I picked this book up in particular, it's a lesser known book right now, but I think it will actually gain an audience. It's a practical guide to habits, boundaries, money, work, and keeping your life from falling apart. What I like about this book is like it's extremely practical. It's no bullshit, no filler. It's just straight to the point on how you can actually get out of a life that is too messy for you, that is draining. A topic that can be quite hard to get into because you have to face a lot of things about yourself that you might not like, but there is a pretty healthy dose of humor in this one. So I laughed out loud already, and I only read like a couple of pages of this one and noted a bit. So yeah, it's a really nice one. So that was a quick run through of the reading that I'm doing right now. Let me know in the comments what you are reading, because I love to pick up recommendations from you guys and know what's on your mind. If you haven't signed up to the newsletter, we are like 30 people on the newsletter right now, and every week I send book recommendations, hidden gems, books that people don't talk about that but are worth reading, that are some there are some really good ones. I mean, I read 400 books now, and there's some of them that's like, why is no one talking about this book? So I try to highlight that in the newsletter as well. On the life side, I'm outside because it's a peculiar week. I didn't have any place to record this video, but I didn't want to miss a week, so I went out here during lunch hours to talk a little bit about books. There might not be a video next week because I'm out on scout camp. I'm a scout leader now, so we're going to be out for 1 week, no cell reception, so I don't have too high hopes of getting a video out. So I think the next video will be the July non-fiction releases. On the webpage we already have a temporary version of the list. I try to update that like every other week, so I get all the best non-fiction releases listed ahead of time before I do like the final curation of that list, nailing it down to like 7 books that I really want to highlight. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good month, so check that out and use the hype meter as well, because you can actually that will help you pick which book is the Booklab community pick of the week. I will also have my own pick of the week, of course, so that's all well and good. I'm babbling now, so I just want to say happy reading. Thanks for tuning in, and Björn out. See you next week, hopefully.